everyone, welcome back to The Trend. Today's trending topic is, do celebrities need media training? I feel like this is very obviously inspired by the viral Chappell Roan clips, and think pieces, but particularly her on the Call Her Daddy podcast, and also throw in a little bit of Rachel Zegler and her press tours and stuff that she's been doing for Snow White, and even I feel like there was another movie, I can't remember off the top of my head. But I say that to say, things are getting a little crazy. I keep seeing this comment and it literally makes me laugh every single time, because this is genuinely how I feel, where Chappell Roan, they can never make me form a solid opinion on you. At this point, I also feel like I've been a stan of so many people. I've just been a fan of celebrity culture my entire life. So I don't really get fazed as much when viral clips of people acting in a negative way start swarming online, just because I know, honestly, if I'm not gonna go watch the original podcast, I'm not gonna get the context. So at the end of the day, I like Chappell Roan's music. I think Rachel Zegler is super talented, but that's where my interest in them stops. However, I do feel like this is an interesting topic because there's almost like this negative association with media training where it's like fake and flawed, and you're stripping people away of their personality and their likability. And in my opinion, at the end of the day, you will never have that in the real world. Same way that these celebrities read comments from us that we think are gags, that we think are jokes, that we think are hee hee ha ha teasing because we feel like we're friends with them, and they just read it as disrespect. I feel like they don't understand that it happens the other way as well, where when we hear comments from them taken out of context, which has always happened, not necessarily in podcast format or in, longer artistic formats, I guess, but same thing with like magazine interviews and stuff like that. They will always extract something out of context and that will go viral. And I just don't think that relatability will ever be achieved from our side or from their side. And I don't think that some celebrities, especially the younger ones coming up, understand that we don't know their personalities the way they think we do, if that makes sense. So I feel like, for example, Chappell Roan talking about motherhood and how it's been triggering everyone. Do I think Chappell Roan thinks all mothers are miserable? Obviously not, okay? This is, to me, the prime example of a kitchen table topic that she took to the public when she should not have been doing. And I feel like that's one of those things in media training where you do learn how to navigate certain topics or just be able to avoid them altogether. A lot of younger celebrities don't seem to realize that the goal is to reach a broader audience. You want to reach more and more people. And I don't think they realize that these people do not know them. So if their first impression of you is this viral clip, that is not the impression you want to make. I just saw a TikTok where this girl was talking about how she knows that Chappell Roan is an unhappy person based off the way she speaks. Hands up, could be true. You literally don't know that. And I know that, and I feel like some people just take stuff to hell. And I feel like that's what's going on with these clips where everyone's talking about how her personality overshadows her art, when I don't think her personality overshadows her art in any way more than any other celebrity. I just feel like she's almost like a bit too comfortable sharing online. And I feel like you can see it with other people that have been in the game longer, where they learned that, like, hey, maybe the less I talk, the better my reputation gets. And that literally is what happens. You have that with Ariana Grande. I feel like you have that with Demi Lovato. You have that with Miley Cyrus, where all these people that used to talk online, and a tweet goes viral out of context, and all of a sudden now they're having to do like think pieces and discuss them. Celebrities, for whatever reason, just always are fighting and dying to be relatable instead of just embracing their newfound privilege, especially when it's a celebrity that actually has gone through maybe a rougher childhood. Or even statistically speaking, like, yes, your formative years do have the biggest impact on your mindset and blah blah blah, all this, all that, but people don't care about that. And they're never gonna relate to you as a celebrity, even if you've only been famous for a year. You are at the Grammys wearing gorgeous gowns. You are on magazine covers. You are doing interviews on TV. That is no longer relatable. My first point is that the real world does not function like that. The real world is not going to know who you are. They're not going to know your nuances. They're not going to know your tone. And at the end of the day, they're not going to care that you grew up rough, or that you make dry jokes, or that you make borderline offensive jokes. Like, that's just not gonna cut it. The second thing that I personally think influences this is the current state of the world. You have people that literally can't afford to pay, like can't afford the cost of living right now, and you wanna complain about being a celebrity. And I get it, bro. I totally get people harassing you in the streets and people feeling entitled to talk to you, touch you, whatever. I get that completely. Don't talk about it. You can make a statement, but to like then dwell on it and keep talking about it and then make jokes about it, and you are these people's source of joy during really hard times, kind of sucks. Two, again, people are going through, I hate to say it, but like more serious problems, real life problems, and yours is just gonna seem like a joke to them and very unlikable once again. Or I find that even with, let's say, someone like Rachel Ziegler, who at this point I feel like movies, music, art, like there's such an escapism for people right now because of how difficult life is, and you're gonna sit there and try and like intellectualize or tear apart Snow White. Like, girl, no one wants that. You're literally, people just want to have enjoyment. They just want to have fun. And they're watching interviews. Oh, this girl Snow White. Oh, Snow White she was down bad for a guy and she was saved by a man and blah, blah, and raped this, blah, blah, blah. Not the point. Like, no one wants to hear that right now. It just overall gives that you're very detached from the real world. And that honestly, at the end of the day, I feel like music and art has turned into more of a sellability, or you're selling your art based off your likability. And honestly, either the less you talk, the more people like you, or you go through your media training and you learn how to talk on these platforms. The next thing that I feel like people need to take a chill pill on is just speaking on things that they have no idea about or no experience in. Motherhood, and how it's so draining, and how it's so this and that. Like, girl, unless you popped a baby out, what's going on? You know what I mean? Like, oh, and I did think this was a good point where a lot of people were saying like, oh, her friends might have been telling her this in confidence, and here she is platforming this like really negative POV from them. And one, I think it's interesting because some people her friends might want that to bring awareness, but again, she doesn't give context. So I think it's just like a tricky line to walk to even approach subjects that you have no experience in. I think another example of this in general is just when people talking about like political cases or just like political things going on in the world. I feel like you shouldn't make a comment unless you've educated yourself, because you really, especially with the way people react now, you really could throw yourself under the bus. I can't remember her name. I believe she was Pakistani. She was a Pakistani influencer, and she basically made like a comment about Israel and Palestine, like right when it was starting to reach like Western news, more so I should say. And you could just tell like she just jumped the gun and immediately made the statement of like a neutral statement, and had no idea what she was talking about, but it just came off very uneducated. And I feel like that killed her fan base. I'm blanking on this girl's name right now. You guys probably know. And yeah, I just feel like if you don't know, don't talk. I do think they should talk, but I think they should educate themselves before they talk. On the other hand, if you have no intention of educating yourself, please do not get online talking about, as artists, I don't feel like we should be forced to speak on political things. To me, at that point, you're just trying to appease the people that you, on one side of the spectrum, as well as the ones that do want you to speak out, and that's not gonna happen. Like, I find like Chappell has done this, I'm pretty sure Brittany Broski has done this. If you don't want to talk about something, just don't talk about it, okay? Instead of coming online and saying, hey, I don't feel like I should be forced to talk about this. Okay, then don't. Just don't. I feel like we've seen this with so many different cases, and I find it kind of ironic because I've singers have such an easy way out, in my opinion, on what the pathway is to become a likable singer, even on what not to do as well. And I feel like people have been selling this idea of like likability and relatability when, one, that's never going to happen. Two, I find that so ironic because you have a whole industry of influencers, and time again, we have seen when these influencers start to become popular and they make a statement about something personal or something not related to the industry they're in, whether it's beauty or comedy or whatever, they lose their entire fan bases. You see it, or they lose a lot of fans. They get a lot of public backlash. You've seen it with Jackie Aina, James Charles, Michaela, the makeup girl, Doja Cat, even Katherine Heigl. Like, there's just so many instances. And I feel like at the end of the day, if being a pop star is what you want to do, just do that pop star path. You don't need to like hop online and make these comments and go on these podcast shows. If you're gonna go on a podcast show and you want to talk about something, go song for song, break down how every song was made. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like some people just like to hear the sound of their voice, and I feel like this whole thing with celebrities has almost gotten too loosey-goosey. I feel like they're almost too comfortable with having no boundaries or expectations placed on them, which is my last point for this video, in the essence that every job has a set of expectations, a set of, you know, appropriate language, look, you know, uniforms, behavioral expectations. And I feel like celebrities have just detached themselves, particularly singers, so much from that, where they just feel like I should be entitled to do what I want. That's fine, but then don't expect the public to respect it or like you after that fact. You know what I mean? That is where media training comes in. Just like you train to be a doctor, there's a way you speak to your patients. There's a way you speak to your fans, and there's a way you speak to the public. And I feel like it's almost like, not me saying media training is a lost art, but it is a lost art at this point. And again, I understand how media training can sound like you're stripping someone of their personality and you're not getting the raw version of that person. But again, like, it's a part of your job. And at the end of the day, I just feel like it also protects the celebrity's mental health, where it's like, hey, I know what to expect and I'm gonna try my best. I'm coming into the situation prepared. I feel like it almost feels like, I'm not to dog on Chappell, but just because she's like the inspiration for this video, that she came into the interview so egotistical that no matter what she said, people were gonna like get a key and laugh at what she was saying or find her so relatable. Which clearly the opposite happened, but it's like, girl, you're not too good to go through media training. Like, there's nothing wrong with it, you know what I mean? And for the people that do come across as egotistical, I feel like they should realize at this point, especially if you've ever been online, there's nothing more that the public likes than to humble someone that they've just put on a pedestal. And again, just to bring it back to that real worldness, but also, you know, how celebrities have no expectations, like, people can't even have social media with certain jobs. You can't have your Instagram unlocked if you're a teacher. You can't be posting certain things on your Facebook if you're whatever job you have. And I just feel like celebrities have such freedom and they just want more. And it just comes across very greedy in this time where people in the general public feel so restricted in their life. It's my rant. I don't know if I make sense. In my head it makes sense. I want to say, disclaimer, I do like Chappell Roan's music. I don't really know much about her. I won't lie, all I've seen in the viral clips are her complaining. Same thing with Rachel Ziegler, but I do think they're talented and I do consume their art. Do I think a lot of people will turn away from them? Yes. And do I think that'll affect their future in the industry? Also, yes. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you guys are completely anti, if you're pretty neutral, or if you're like, they should be able to do whatever they want, blah, 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 in the comments below. And yeah, I'll see you guys, I don't know when next time. I won't lie, but I'll try to be on this channel a bit more. Yeah, bye.